And here's how they bring magic into the MCU. Thor. Released in May of 2011, directed by Kenneth Branagh, with a runtime of 1 hour and 55 minutes. With a production budget of $150 million and a worldwide total of $449 million, this was a fairly profitable genre experiment. I say experiment because they were testing out whether or not the general viewing audience would accept the concept of magic in the MCU. Starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Tom Hiddleston, and Sir Anthony Hopkins. When I first heard about this movie coming out, I was very excited, but also quite concerned. I like Thor. Thor is a very cool character. He's a lot of fun now. Now he's fun. Now he's very cool. But at the time, whilst he was a very powerful and important keystone member of the Marvel community, he wasn't exactly mainstream popular. But I was delightfully surprised. Thor is great. Even in this very first movie, where Chris Hemsworth is still finding his feet with this character, still sounding this character out, he does well. It feels like Thor on Earth. I like the fish out of water syndrome. I like that whole presentation of this mighty Asgardian warrior, stripped of his powers and kind of lost down here. Tom Hiddleston, another standout performance. Didn't expect that. Loki is awesome. Jane Foster always kind of sucked in the comics. Never liked the character. So when Natalie Portman pulls off a compelling performance as Foster, I was again really happy with that. And Sir Anthony Hopkins, hello, wasn't expecting that. Was anyone expecting that? And he just plays it so very well. So commanding, so bombastic. All of the other support characters, they were good fun as well. They really added to every scene. The movie would have been very, very, well, shallow without them. These sorts of characters need a lot of propping up if it's going to work for the first run. And it did. Doesn't mean everyone liked it. Quite a few people think these are the worst of the movies. But that's okay. It's probably not their thing. I was expecting everything I got, so I was already there. Move along with the story. The story is Shakespearean high drama. It takes a lot from Thor's origins. It pulls a lot from modern origins. You get a lot of ultimates and original Thor and classic Thor and just little sub-stories of Thor. You bring them all together, thump. There's your movie. I've noticed they do that a lot with these MCU movies. They'll take all the different fractured parts of an origin story and present it as something actually usable on film. All the drama of the family problems, Loki maneuvering for the throne, Thor having to come to terms with his arrogance and learning some humility, Odin trying to be the wise father and guide his children as best he can, but let's face it, he's possibly the worst dad, second only to Thanos. All that's well and good, but the main thing is Thor and Loki. These are two major characters. They had to get these right, and the casting was spot on. Absolutely sold it, absolutely spectacular, totally engaging to watch. Even when they got the cheesiest, hammiest lines, these actors know how to deliver them. Thor is bombastic and muscle-bound, and so looks the part. Hemsworth is a big lad. Loki's your charming, slimy, deceptive sort. You'd really like him, but you can never trust him. But you want to like him, but you just can't trust him. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when Thor is surrendered into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. He's sitting in the interrogation room, the door slides shut, suddenly there's Loki in the reflection, and he's in the room. And they're having this wonderful dialogue, and it's all very tragic. It's all very deceptive. And the acting, the depth of character we're getting out of these two excellent actors was spectacular. And then Loki disappears again and does all these little magic tricks and leaves. It's just good value. This movie also introduces three main things. One, it introduces magic to the MCU. Sure, they describe it in many ways as science just not yet understood. However, Loki is not using science, Loki is using magic. And it is very, very subtle and is very, very excellent. They also introduced aliens for the first time. This is the first time we get outer space brought to Earth in the MCU. In the timeline of release date for movies, not in the timeline of the MCU itself. What was the third thing? No idea. It's gone. Whatever it was, it isn't in my head anymore. So Thor, yeah, easily one of my favorites. Not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people really didn't like the way it was paced, the way they presented it, the way it was more like a family drama. There was anyway an action movie, that sort of thing. But you know what? It's still one of my favorites. I knew exactly what I was in for, and I totally enjoyed myself. Not to mention the fact, without this movie, Avengers doesn't make a lick of sense. You need this movie for Avengers to even work. So the Thor score will be an MCU 3. There's my review for Thor. I'm almost out of time again, but what did you think of this movie? Did you enjoy it, or are you one of the people that thought it was a bit of a dead weight, a bit of an unnecessary film? Either way, comment down below, let us all know. Hope you're having a great week, you find some time to watch a movie, and I'll catch you later.